Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
My name is Khalid. In English, you can call me Khalid. The spelling Khalid.
H-A-L-I-D?
Now I am right.
Oh, okay.
Khalid. I'm sorry.
Okay. Khalid?
Yes.
Khalid. Oh, okay. My name's Brittany.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Yes,
How
nice
are
to meet
you?
you. Good, how are you?
I'm doing quite very well, thank you.
Good, where are you from?
Well, I came from Deir, which is in the east of Syria. My city is the junction between Syria and Iraq.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Are you currently living there?
In fact, I have been living in KSA for 7 years. I traveled from Syria in 2010, and until up to
Okay.
date, I still living in KSA.
Okay. Very good. And you said that you're planning on traveling?
Definitely. And as you know, the crazy war in my country, Syria, and my hometown is being taken away. And we cannot go back to our country, so we have decided to travel to another country, in particular to build a new future for our children in respected countries such as Canada or Australia. So we have decided to travel.
Oh, okay. That's nice. That's good.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And when do you plan on traveling? Like when do you have to leave?
I cannot specify the time since my file has been submitted to the immigration and citizenship ministry in a few months ago, and I have received the file number, and the situation is in process. So I have to expect an interview in the embassy of Canada in Riyadh, maybe 2 months, 3 months, 5 months. I cannot guess. It depends on you in the luck.
Okay. Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah.
Is your family excited to be traveling?
Yes, we are so excited about traveling for Canada, especially when we read about the schools in Canada for children and maybe a pioneer project for children. And that's that's what we have decided to contact with Canadians to speak about Canada, to ask about it, to have a rough idea, and also to improve our English. I think we have to go to Canada. It is necessary to speak with Canadian, to practice for accent, for slang, for idiom collocations in Canada, and to improve. It is a crucial decision to speak English or French fluently inside Canada.
Right, that's awesome. Very good. Do they know any English?
I have 2 kids. Musab 6 years old now. Musab teach the alphabets and some words, color, some songs, and I have focused to teach him some uninteresting material. It depends on songs, games. And I'm 3 years old, but he sometimes try to maybe mimic me and Mus'ab, especially in colors. And sometimes he knows the colors in Arabic rather than in English rather in Arabic.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, kids, they love to mimic.
Yes.
To learn.
Mimic.
Yeah.
Teacher Brittany, you from Toronto, yeah?
Yes, I am.
Okay. May I speak about a little bit about Toronto? Why? Maybe since we have decided to travel to Canada, for me and other Syrians who are seeking to travel to Canada, Toronto maybe is a major station for many refugees or immigrants. For me,
Yes.
I'll travel to Alberta for Edmonton, but I, wa- I, I want to take some ideas, some notes, some information about Toronto.
Okay, you said that you want to travel to
Yeah,
Alberta?
Alberta. Yes, Alberta, Edmonton.
Like that's where you want to live?
Yes, it's called. It's a small town. It's called Vigorville. It's maybe 103 kilometer far away from Edmonton.
Okay, I'm actually in Alberta right now.
You are in Alberta now?
Yeah, my boyfriend, he's from Alberta.
Okay. Have a good night. Have a good day.
Yeah.
Sorry. Have a good day.
Yeah, we came here. We flew into Edmonton. We lived in Edmonton back and forth.
Mm-hmm. And where you are in? Are you in Edmonton now or Calgary?
We're actually in Lethbridge, so it's 5 hours south of Edmonton, or 2.5 hours south of Calgary.
Okay.
But we will go back to Edmonton in a couple of weeks.
But entirely you accommodate in Toronto, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, I think you have you have maybe wide information or wide knowledge about Toronto, yeah?
Yes, yeah. Like that's where I was from, and I lived there most of the time. I just go back and forth. But yeah, Toronto takes in over 100,000 immigrants every year.
Oh,
yeah, there's a lot of. It's very diverse.
Yes, let's ask you some question maybe here, and I think people who are planning to travel to Canada, first of all, maybe to improve their English. Okay, but we say it is necessary to listen for news in Canada. Okay, do you suggest some channel for immigrants to maybe to practice and to be more familiar with the and to be updated what happened in Canada?
Which like
news channel, TV channel in Canada? Do you suggest a specific channel?
Yeah, you could look up it's called CP24.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest news channels that tells you about the weather in Canada, tells you about the major headlines, tells you about different sports. Like it's kind of like a source that tells you about anything major that's going on, like road delays, if there's stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good one. Also, City News Toronto is a good one.
Mm-hmm. I think that's two channel. I think that's enough. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, that's what I said. Maybe as new immigrants or refugees who are seeking to reach to Canada within a year and a half, 6 months, I don't know. But in this period, we have to prepare ourselves. And the
Right.
English, the English or French is okay. Now let us talk about the accommodation. Maybe more people who are traveling to a new country maybe are so stressed how to find maybe not expensive flats. Okay, where area you suggest to look for? Give me a rough idea about the range of maybe the range of rent. Yes, in
Okay,
in
so
Toronto, to start in Toronto.
Depending. Okay, so would you want to be right downtown Toronto, or would you want to be like in the suburbs, like somewhere a little outside of like the main downtown, but still considered in Toronto?
In Toronto, it's in Toronto, and let's talk about people, not rich people, maybe, and okay, and to try to find any.
Yeah,
Okay, not expensive.
okay. Right. So if you're going to be in Toronto, I'd say for depending on if you get a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, I would say average would be
Okay.
$1,500.
Okay, $1,500.
Yes, if you want to get, depending if you rent in Toronto, but on the suburbs, like you could find something for $1,200. That's still in Toronto, but you're not right downtown. You're somewhere a little out of the main city center. It's called the GTA.
GTA.
Oh, have you heard of that?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, let's visualize. We look for a small flat in 2 bedrooms and 1 spacious living room, and maybe bath just for new immigrants. What's the range of rate?
So you said 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom.
2 bedrooms and 1 spacious living room, and one bathroom. Yes, and it's small.
Okay.
Small.
Smaller. And that's right downtown, right?
Not in the
I would
maybe
say
in the suburb, maybe not many. For no, we need no expensive.
okay. So you could probably find something, I would say, between 900 and 1,500 on the lower end.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends where you look, what you're accessible to. I mean, if you're out a little further, you can find the cheaper accommodations. If you're depends if you need to be close to like transit, then it's a little bit more because they know that you have access to that. It all depends on a lot of factors. Toronto is definitely one of the higher places in Canada to live. The real estate prices are incredibly high. So, yeah, like on average, I mean, if you wanted to find like a decent or even a better place, like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath downtown somewhere central, it'd be around $2,000 to $3,000. But if you're trying to find something a little lower budget, a little bit outside of the city, I'd say around $1,200 to $1,500. But depending on exactly, like I said, where you are, if you're out a bit, if you're even in Mississauga, which is still part of Toronto but a suburb, then you can find something a little cheaper. So probably, I'd say $1,000 for a 2-bedroom would probably be the cheapest.
Okay. Also, could I ask? I need to have a rough idea about the system of living in Canada, to how to deal with your neighbors, to maybe the construction of houses or flats in Canada, concrete, iron, wood, gypsum board. Okay, and how?
Right.
Okay, and let us imagine you are living in a building consists maybe 2 roofs, 2 stories, 3 stories. How to incorporate with other people in this building? What you recommend the new immigrants?
New immigrants, well, I'd recommend, like, it depends if you live in a condo building, like you said, that's made out of concrete. You could go around to your, if you live beside 2 people, you can, once you move in and stuff, you can knock on their door and introduce yourself, introduce your family, and be very friendly and just say, you know what, I'm your new neighbors. I just moved in here. You can, whatever you like just say, tell them a bit about yourself and your family, and it's also good to ask for recommendations from them. If you say, like, do you have any recommendations for me to go or anything I could see? That's basically what I recommend. Like, whenever anybody moves somewhere, if it's in a condo or if it's they move into a different house, just to contact your neighbors, go over, just knock on the door and just introduce yourself, introduce your family.
Mm-hmm. And what's about the relations between neighbors in Canada in general?
Neighbors you're usually pretty close with your neighbors in Canada. I mean, depends, like, how the people are. Like, you can get some people that aren't so friendly and are very particular, and they they live in that house and they don't want to talk to anybody. So you have those types of people. But in general, at least my experiences and most of the people I know, that they're pretty close. They go over to their neighbor's house for dinner, and if they need anything, like I know with our neighbors, like if I ran out of milk or something, for instance, and I was in the middle of cooking, I could run over to their place and they would give me some milk, or like if I needed them to look after the place while I was gone for a few days, like they would come in and check on everything. Yeah, so it's usually positive relationships.
Okay, back to the rent of flats or houses in Toronto. You mentioned between from they maybe the prices fluctuate from 900 to
Yes.
The monthly maybe monthly money you have to pay
Condo
for grocery, for gasoline, for maybe for rate for your car, the range.
Right. Okay, so I would say the month for groceries, you're feeding 4 people.
Maybe let us say dad, mom, 2 children.
Mom,
Yes.
2 children?
Dad, mom,
Okay.
and 2 children.
Okay. So I would say for groceries, depending on what you like to eat, I would say on average probably $500.
Okay.
$500 would be on average, depending if you like a lot of meat or something, which is more expensive. But yeah, I could say you could probably budget to $500. I would say if you have a car in Toronto and car insurance, it ranges for $150 a month.
Okay.
For insurance, so you're covered. So that's if you have a car. If you needed to lease a car, when you got to Canada, your payment, depending if you just wanted a small car, you could get payments between $250 to a nicer car for $500.
Okay, hold, please. Back to analyze step by step. 500 for groceries in Toronto. Okay, that's the this range depends on Toronto is an expensive city or cheap city. Yeah, and this number involves fruit, vegetables, or just maybe for meats, for bread, for rice, for some for any what's it covering by $500?
$500, it's covering like, well, you for us, it would be like milk, it would be bread, it would be like chicken. So if you buy like chicken and freeze it in bulk, it'd be different vegetables, like some different condiments that you like, pasta sauce, like pizza, just salads. Yeah, it covers quite a bit. It's about $125 a month, depending on what you buy and depending on the grocery stores you go. If you go right downtown Toronto and you go to a Sobeys, you're going to spend probably double than if you go to a No Frills.
Okay.
They claim that the product is more like it's fresh or whatever, but I mean, you can go to the cheaper grocery stores or the supermarkets and you can buy fresh stuff for good prices. It just all depends where you go and location. Like, it all depends. If you're living right downtown Toronto on Dundas Square, which like the center of Toronto, the real estate is super expensive. The gas is, even in your car, is a lot more expensive. The grocery stores around there, they cater for the ritzy people because of how high the real estate prices are. So the food is more expensive. Everything's generally more expensive. So if you get out a bit out of Toronto, like the downtown core, even like 2 kilometers just out on the outside, like the grocery stores are cheaper. Like everything is a lot cheaper.
Some names for this obligations, and for fruit, vegetables, chicken, milk, not expensive supermarket. Let us consider in our mind the new immigrant maybe has a few dollars in the first year. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So No Frills would be your best supermarket. They have fresh stuff. It's very affordable. So I would say like to shopping at No Frills.
Okay.
I'm just gonna write down. Just gonna write down. I'm just trying to. I would say Etobicoke. So Etobicoke is about. It's a little outside. That's where is a lot of immigrants that do live. So that is about maybe 15 minutes outside of Toronto. It's still considered Toronto, but it's not the general Toronto area. So not the GTA.
But what about
the
transportation? Just imagine the new immigrants, no cars, no owner cars. And what about the public transportation?
No.
You can take the grant to reach for these points?
Yeah. Yeah. You can take the bus to reach any. The transit system is really good in Toronto. They have buses that come all the time. You can jump on the streetcar. They have different streetcars that take you right downtown. It's very easy, very accessible to.
But here to rent a flat in Toronto, do you suggest some website, some agents office to some effective maybe in the Google to search? I have noticed most people suggest the KGG, but others, however, on the other hand, many Canadians warn about KGG. Tell me about that.
Yes. Kijiji is okay. It depends. Again, like a lot of people don't use Kijiji in Toronto to put up. If you're renting a room or something like that, like you'll have a lot of students that post on Kijiji because they don't want to pay like real estate fees to put their house on like a commission after they rent it. So they use that as a source of because it's free. So it's still good. You can still find some cheap places on there. Like some people do use it that aren't familiar with other websites, but Remax.
Okay.
Remax is a good website. Yes. Another good website. Let me just see here. Another good website is the realtor.ca. You can find quite a few. You can pick your area too. You can pick the area that you want. You can pick the number of bedrooms you want, the number of bathrooms you want.
2 bedrooms and 1 spacious living room. Just that's.
Yeah.
Small.
Yeah. So yes. Yeah. So you can do all that on the website. So they have a lot of listings, like a lot of properties on there. I would say those two. It depends. Like there's a lot of immigrants that come over and they rent out other people's houses that you can do like for depending on the amount of time that they want to stay, if they want to switch around, and they use a site called Airbnb. So this is not, it depends how long you want to stay there, but a lot of people do this for maybe 6 months. They even have people do rent it out for a year too. It all depends.
I cannot guess how years the people will accommodate in Toronto, but it's maybe 1 year, 2 years entirely. I don't know, but let us to give you a rough idea. Lots of Syrian who are subject to Canada as refugees. Okay, so it is necessary to accommodate to the area of the sponsor who are living there. Okay, this video to talk about Toronto now. Let us imagine in Toronto. Okay, Toronto. This is maybe in Toronto, and maybe in the next week we'll talk about Edmonton, Calgary. I need that, and I'll share this interesting video with my friends in Facebook to discuss and to exchange the ideas.
Okay, yeah, very good. Okay, so yeah, basically, like I said, Toronto, if you want to live downtown Toronto or in the general core, it's going to be around $900 to $1,500 for a smaller place. I've explained to you the best supermarket on a low budget, but still fresh and good food would be No Frills. You can get around, like I said, by streetcar, by bus. You just have to get a pass. When you're looking for houses, you can go on Remax or Realtor. Airbnb
please,
is an option too.
Could you suggest
And
some suburbs, maybe which is situated in the outskirts for of Toronto? Yes. What do you suggest for more يعني in a nutshell? يعني suggest some suburbs for new immigrants, not expensive, in Toronto.
Yes. So your best bet would be Brampton. So Brampton is about 30 minutes away from Toronto. They have a lot of lower income houses, and there's a lot of immigrants that go to Brampton. It's like a big immigrant community. There's a lot of different restaurants, and it's like a mini Toronto. So basically, it's I guess it wouldn't be like all the high skyscrapers or like the big malls or something. They still do have malls and restaurants and grocery stores and everything that you need, but it's just like a smaller, not so busy area.
Let's talk about the job. You can consider the new immigrants as the job hunter. Yeah. How to find the job in Toronto, and what do you suggest for the new immigrant? I have read about Canada. You can work in any profession, not necessarily in your field. Yeah, you can find any job. For example, stickers on potato or maybe tomato, or to work any job in Canada. Okay, this is. For me, I am working as a civil engineer, but I need to maybe to pass an interview in the Consult of Alberta, Toronto, to be a certified engineer in Canada. It needs maybe 1 year and 1.5 years. Within 1 year, it is necessary to find a job, any job.
Yes, any job. So as long as you have as long as you, like you said, if you have to pass the exam or whatever, as long as you get qualified on the level that I guess you need to be the engineer in Canada, then you can just go onto any website and
sorry, I don't
can
ask
apply for
about
these
this
jobs.
point. I know it is necessary to make my certification by the WES website, and I know, but to find any job, okay, the new immigrants, as I need income in Canada. How to reach to income in Canada?
Right. So you can go, my best bet, the one I use is Indeed.ca. It's a website that you can apply. You can send in your resume online, and you can put in at the top what it is you want to do. If you're looking for something in the restaurant, something in a supermarket, something in just whatever, you put it in and you put the location in, and it'll bring up all the jobs that they're looking for. And you click on the job that catches your eye, and it'll tell you what you need in order to perform that job. It'll tell you your duties and everything. That's the same with flex jobs. So flex jobs is, yes, there's a lot of different, it's a little more professional. Like they have a lot more like teacher jobs, engineering jobs, like
let us talk about
accounting jobs, stuff like
that. Such as people who are able to use the computer and office program such as Excel, PowerPoint. Also maybe use some drawings programs such AutoCAD, ArchiCAD. This is it maybe a little bit using English, yes. But however, if we talk about people, if we talk about the level of English is under beginner, maybe, okay, those people really are threatened how to find a job in Canada.
If they don't know too much English, it depends. Like there's a lot of immigrants that will work at I don't know. There's a lot of immigrants that work at anywhere. They work at different restaurants, in different food courts, like places where you don't have to know too much English, different supermarkets, stuff like that. But in order to get like, if like you're an engineer in Toronto or you're an accounting or something, you need to have a high level of English. But like I said, you can still apply and have your interview, and the best way, unless you're going around to different places, to hand out your resume physically and go face to face. That's always one of the best ideas to do. You just walk around the city and they'll have hiring signs, and you give them in your resume, or you go on to Indeed.ca. That's my best bet. You hear it's pretty fast, it's instant. A lot of the jobs they post online in Canada, so you won't even see these jobs like hiring in their window. It's a lot better way to look for jobs, in my opinion, because they post jobs, like so many jobs every single day, and they send you replies to your email, or they'll call you if you state your phone number.
You enhance my idea that everyone can find a job in Canada. Okay, let us call Canada the land of opportunity. Yeah. Yeah, and
yes, land of opportunity.
Imagine you immigrant and cannot speak English fluently or no, and they can find any job, as you mentioned now, maybe security in supermarket. Okay, as a writer, as a reporter, it needs just maybe simple skills. Okay, and what about the range of income every month? As in Canada, the cost is matching with the hour. Maybe it is security. What it equals in 1 hour, $13, $15 out of the range in Toronto.
I would say anywhere between I would say around $12.50 to $18, $20 an hour. Yeah, it all depends.
Let us say the middle, the rate is 20. Yes, an hour. And if the new immigrant works full job hour, maybe 40 hours in the month. Yeah. Yes.
Right. 40 hours a month.
Sorry, not 40 hours. In the
that
week,
would be
if every. Sorry. Yes.
40
yes, 40 hour a week. Yes, 40 hour, maybe $1,600.
Yes, that's
okay.
Yeah, if they work 40 hours a week.
Very good. And if man and woman find a job, that's good. But here, let's raise a main point. What about the children? Could we find the kindergarten in the neighborhood to add my children? If
Yes. Yeah, it's pretty easy too. You just I don't know too much about that, but I know that there's a lot of schools around, and you can just go in and talk to the students about enrolling your child into a public school if that was something that you wanted to do. And they're usually pretty good. They'll get you set up and get everything started like pretty fast. You'd have to look more into the different websites on that, but I'm pretty sure that you just find the school you like and you set up a meeting and bring your kids to the school, and then they'll talk to you about it, the principal.
Since you came from Toronto, do you recommend people to travel to Toronto or another province?
I would recommend Toronto. It's a great city. It's very diverse. It's probably the most multicultural city in Canada. So, I mean, as far as like real estate, like finding a place or buying a place is expensive, but the food there, to go out to eat, you can, like, there's so many different restaurants. There's so many different restaurants that you can go to eat. There's so many cheap supermarkets to shop. There's so many different places to see. I mean, there's so many different people that it's a fabulous city. It really is. The weather is great in the summer. It doesn't get too cold in the winter. Like, there's a lot of benefits. But if you want something a little more laid back, not so city-like, then I would recommend Alberta. It's very different. You have the mountains. It's a little more relaxed. They don't have as much taxes out there, so you pay cheaper taxes. You can have cheaper accommodation, but the food is a little bit more expensive because, well, in Edmonton too, because it's a little farther north, and there's not so much food like grown in Edmonton or Alberta as there is in Ontario. So, I mean, there's pluses and there's benefits. It just depends exactly what you're used to or what you're exactly looking for in a lifestyle. And like, they're pretty I would say Edmonton and Toronto compare, because Edmonton is farther up north, so you like the prices and stuff are going to be a little more expensive, but on average it's cheaper to live in Edmonton. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Toronto. I mean, it's a great city. Everybody's very friendly, in my opinion. There's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of good things for kids, like extra activities. There's a lot of parks. There is a lot of opportunities, especially with jobs. They're always hiring. It's a big city. There's lots of ways to move up and advance. And
now let me
just
raise the main point for the new immigrants: how to incorporate themselves for the community of Canada. How to make friends or casual acquaintances in Canada. I read a lot. The Canadians are very, very friendly. And it's a multicultural country.
Yes.
Give me
right. Yes. I would say, unless you're out and about and you involve yourself into different activities, like different groups that do stuff, but you can go onto a website called meetup.com, and they post, like, if you're interested in playing games, there's a game night. If you're new to the country and you want to meet with a bunch of other people who just moved to the country, if you're interested in going for a walk, if you're interested in going somewhere for dinner, they just post a bunch of different things for new people who don't know too much about the place they lived in or don't know too many people, and then they'll plan everything online, and they'll plan a date and time that works for everybody, and you'll just meet at that spot, and either you'll play tennis outside with them, or you'll go for coffee, or, like I said, it's totally different, whatever the group is.
Then,
so that's a good way to
and
meet people.
You can summarize your idea in the mutual hobbies among people, such as sports, brisk walking, reading. Movies. I think there are maybe local clubs for all suburbs in Canada, involving maybe pools, soccer. Yeah, I think this is especially in Canadian the weather maybe harsh and cold, tough, and I think the clubs is main factor to incorporate the new immigrants.
Right. So, different clubs. I don't know too much about the different clubs, but I know that like the YMCA have like local swim nights where anybody can go there and swim for free, and they also have different, like, you can play different sports. They have different things going on for kids, so they have swimming lessons, they have just coloring nights, and just like a bunch of different activities. Like, it's a very communal place that you can go. They also have different housing too in Toronto, so low income houses that you can rent a room, and it's like its own little community within the YMCA. So they have gyms there that you can go work out, along with the pool, hot tub, basketball, soccer. Yeah, so it's a very good place to keep in mind if you want to enroll your kids into any different classes.
Do you suggest for some professions, for some to travel for Canada? I know maybe some professions such as civil engineer or mechanical or electrical maybe full. Okay, but however, I think there is shortage in some professions that enhance those people to travel to Canada. Okay, maybe such as nursing, for example. Give
Yes.
me an idea about the professions you suggest to travel to Canada.
With Canada, I know there's a lot of different business, like there's a lot of different customer service. So if you want to, I know if you want to work in an office, if you want to do different administration work, you can work in a call center. You can, there's, in Toronto, it's like the business department of all of Canada. So there's a lot of different business jobs, like different investments, different like investor firms, different accounting, a lot of banks that you could be a teller at. Those are considered pretty good jobs. There's, it's just a lot of different restaurants and serving, and a lot of different, I guess, like construction work is another good work to get into. A lot of engineering jobs. I mean, it's basically any kind of job you can think of that if you have the necessary experience and skills and education that you can get. Yeah, and if you're new, there's a lot of immigrants that work at smaller, like I said, supermarkets, gas stations, restaurants, different stores in the shopping mall. They work at. There is people that work in construction and just basically anything. Like you can get a job anywhere that you want, basically, if you have the necessary skills and education.
There is some now. When I read about Canada, it's multicultural multicultural country, and it involves people who belong maybe more than 100 religion. Yes. What about the effects of religion in Canada? Give me an idea about that.
Effects of religion? I mean, there's every kind of religion you can think of in Canada. There's tons of different churches. There's many different religions, but like religions, it doesn't really matter so much in Toronto because there's so many, it's such a multicultural place that everybody's kind of each to their own. They do what they need to do. They get involved in their own religion, like different communities and stuff, and they form friends that way by going to different churches or whatever it may be, different outings. But everybody is kind of, they just stick to themselves. They stick to their own religion. They go about whatever it is that they are, like by themselves or whatever. People that they know are the same religion, but it's pretty. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Like people show their religion. They show just they're themselves, and Canadians are pretty accepting. They just
really,
accept
and that's
whoever.
Whoever,
yeah.
I respect Canada for this point, especially when I read on all people, if I maybe right, and respect all religion and all people have freedom to pray, for fasting, for or any to go to temple, church, mosque. Just for example. Maybe in 1 month ago, when terrorists who killed some innocent people, maybe in Quebec or yes, and that after 1 week, the Canadians and especially the Christians surrounded the mosque to save people inside the mosque. That's amazing. And that enhances the idea the religion just to gap the bridge among people.
Right. Yeah, see, Canadians are very sentimental. Like when something like that goes on, that's like totally like it doesn't happen very often, and it just shocks everybody, and it makes everybody really sad that something like that would happen, and that there's sick people out there that would do that. But I mean, there are people out there with like mental health is a big issue, and there's people out there that do that kind of stuff and out of the ordinary, like you're not expecting it. And I can't say that it would never happen again. It happens. Like, it's a big city and there are different people like that are out there. But for the most part, like everybody looks out for everybody, and it's a very respectful place to live.
For me now, the committee who are translating, emailing and messaging with me are Christian. and it's a very, very kind people, and give me a wide array of information about Canada. And sometimes they spend maybe the entire days to prepare some reports for me. And so, yes, that I think that for me and for all immigrants are responsible to be an effective and protective member in Canada. Okay?
Yes. As long as you, yeah, I mean, as long as you show that you're, how would you say? I mean, as long as you're out there and I guess you're one of us, like you're just prepared to help out whenever whenever there's help that is needed, or, I mean, you're just helping out the community, you're helping local different events, like if you take part in charity work, depending on what it is, like, yeah, you're friendly, or, you just want to help the community and make the world a better place, I guess, if that's like your mindset, then I think everything should be fine. As long as you don't, if people just be themselves and they just stick to their own thing, everything will be fine.
What about the weekend of Canadian and in Toronto? What's the main point, malls, clubs you are seeking in the weekend? Tell me about that.
Yes. So you get the young crowd that start on Thursday that like to go out and party and go to the clubs. So that starts on Thursday night, and it'll be busy downtown core because there's lots of different bars and lots of different pubs and lots of nightclubs. So between Fridays at about 8 to about 2 or 3 in the morning, the same thing on Saturday, 8 to 2 in the morning, you'll notice that it's a lot harder to get cabs. There's a lot of taxi drivers in Toronto, but there's just so many young people that are out, like, having a good time, going to different places, restaurants and stuff. So that's a big thing for the younger crowd. Older people too as well, depending on what they like. But as far as going to different places in Toronto, they have a lot of cool different markets. Like in the summer, you can go to Kensington Market. A lot of people go there and walk around. They sell local fruits and vegetables. They sell different handmade items. It's a cheaper market that they have a lot of different things going on that you can enjoy. Different like comedians go there. They just do a lot of cool, different fun activities. Also, the distillery district, a lot of people like to go. They have, again, it's another outdoor market too, but they have like stores inside this old brewery. So they transformed it into a market. They have different events go on there all the time too. Different fairs come, like with rides for children, and just like a bunch of different things go on there too. They also have, I would say, Dundas Square, which is right. It's like kind of like Times Square in New York. It's a big square that they have every weekend that there's something going on, whether there's different singers, different performances, different, I don't know, there's just so many different attractions there. They have like pillow fights that gets the community together. Everyone brings their pillow, and they have like things like that happen there. They have different outdoor markets, like flea markets and stuff like that. People are dancing, different, like it's just a bunch of different things that people go out and just watch, like people perform. So that's really fun to do as well. There's also a lot of people like to go on hiking. There's nice walking trails by the water. They do a lot of different hiking. They do a lot of different biking. Like it's a very healthy city. Like people like to stay active and walk around and do things like that. Let me see, what else do they do? There's a lot of different theaters. They can go to theaters. You can go to the movies. You can. A lot of people go to the malls. Camping is they do have a lot of cool different camping sites that you can camp out. Not so much right downtown Toronto. You can outside of Toronto, they have different parks. In Ontario in general, there's a lot of beautiful parks. Not so much in Toronto, like the Muskokas. You have to transit there or bus there, but they have a lot of beautiful different lakes that you can camp out on, or like in the forest, like. They have a lot of camping places.
Speaking with you is very, very enjoying, interesting, and enjoyable time. Now, let's talk about studying in English. Okay. What about the scholarship? Okay, especially for people who maybe if seek to find a job to work maybe 2 days or 3 days in the week and to study in the rest of week. Okay, me have idea about that.
Yes. Yes. So if they're studying and working combined, there's a lot, like, everybody is pretty flexible. Like, depending on, unless you're like in construction or you need to be there every day, but if you work in different cafes, different restaurants, different in the shopping mall, different shops, jobs like that, they're very they hire enough people that they can work around everybody's schedule. So you're able to, you just tell them once you get the job or when you're in your interview, you say, you know what, like, I'm going to school 3 days a week. These are my hours. So I would like this many hours to work. Can you work around my schedule? And they usually do. It's very flexible. Yes, depending on, like I said, what
now
kind of
back
job.
to the learning English to raise this question. My friends asked me to discuss. Now, if to suggest maybe simple program to improve the English for me, for my for people who are seeking to travel to Canada within a year. Okay, and it depends on Canadian materials to learn the accent, the slangs, idioms, collocations. What do you suggest?
Were you thinking like somewhere that you could do it online, or
No,
somewhere
online,
that you could go
because
to a
now
class?
Syrians who are seeking to travel to Canada now are still living in maybe in Saudi Arabia, in Emirates, in Turkey, in Jordan, in Lebanon, and to prepare themselves to learn English. Okay.
There's a lot of different English schools that you could go to online. I know there's a program
Okay.
called Rosetta Stone. You do have to pay for it. You pay a one-time fee. They have different promotions on. I think it's around $150. But they give you all these different lessons from beginner to intermediate to expert, and it covers a wide range of basically everything that you need to know to make sentences. Just a lot of different, like, good use. I actually bought the Rosetta Stone to learn Spanish, and it's been helping me pretty good. And the reviews on Rosetta Stone are very good. So that's a program that you can look into, that you can learn many different languages. They also have, I'm trying to think, there's Language School of Canada that you can go on, and
all these
LSC that has different courses.
online schools to learn English. But what about
Yes.
the cost? Yes, how much they cost? Yes.
How much do they cost? It depends. Like LSC or Rosetta Stone, it depends. You can find promotions if you go onto Google and put in Rosetta Stone promotional code. Then they'll have a code that you can get it cheaper. But Rosetta Stone is one program. So if you decide it's English that you're studying, you download the one English program and have 1 to 5 lessons, and it tells you like basically everything that you need to know to perform like basic to intermediate to advanced learning. The LSC is Language School of Canada. That's more individual courses. So if you want to specialize in management or specialize in certain courses,
could
you would
we
pay
chat
per
with
course.
the tutor?
Yes, yeah. With Rosetta Stone, they have a customer service line where you can email if you have any questions. I believe LSC, they do have a line that is available if you have any questions throughout the course that you can speak with the tutor.
That's what I focus, because it is to
I'm not
speak
exactly
English fluent, you have to practice with native speaker. As the I think that's help people to come out of their shell.
Right, exactly. And I think Cambly, like what you're using right now to communicate, is very good because it's cheap to use. And if you had certain material that you wanted to go over, or we can always share notes and go over materials from like flashcards if you're trying to teach your children, to if they needed help reading a certain paper for their work or for their school, like they can read it and we can help them pronounce,
Also, I
help
have
them with their
read in
pronunciation or
your
grammar.
profile, you are specialist in the IELTS, yeah, and in the business also.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I went to.
And how
school
to
for business
prepare the
administration.
well-informed resume? Maybe this is your.
Yeah, how to perform the resume. Yeah, so like you want to know how to write a resume based on the education I have.
Prepare يعني specific class about how to prepare well-informed CV and how to use this maybe practice to introduce yourself in Canada. I think it's necessary. Your profile, your LinkedIn profile, your resume. I think that's necessary, yeah, in Canada.
Yes. Yeah, that is. So I'm just trying to think. Have you heard of Fiverr?
Yeah.
Fiverr. Okay, I would write down Fiverr. Fiverr is it's a very good website. It's not so widely known, but if you needed somebody to help you with your resume, if you need someone to build your resume, if you needed help with a cover letter, if you need help with writing an essay, different papers, whatever it may be, they have ghostwriters and people that try and help you, and you pay $5 and they will write a full resume for you, and they have reviews and everything. They're people who are specialized in writing. So they went to school for writing. They went to school for website design. They went to school for whatever it may be. They are building up their portfolio. They went to school for different, like if you need your logo, if you're making your own website, whatever it may be, they have different packages, but they all start at $5. So your basic package will be $5. If you want to add whatever, like if you want to add maybe 500 more words to an essay, they'll charge another $5. But it's very good when helping for a resume or building a cover letter or any kind of advice like that. It's very good.
If we talk about our next class, maybe in the same time, are you available for next Wednesday? Let's fix
Yes.
This appointment.
Yes, yeah, next Wednesday. I only reserved up to this week a couple different slots, but I can reserve the same time next Wednesday, and then you can put the reservation.
Class, we need to talk about another province in Canada. What do you suggest? Edmonton, Calgary, to ask my friends to prepare some questions. What do you suggest?
Yes, I would suggest probably Edmonton,
that's for
Calgary.
Me, that's amazing for me, since I'll travel to Edmonton.
Yes, because I have a lot of experience living in Edmonton too, and my boyfriend being from Alberta, like I've lived here for probably off and on, but for I would say maybe 3 years altogether. And I've traveled here before too, so I know quite a bit of information about Edmonton and Alberta in general.
Talk about learning English to improve our English, since we are still beginner in English.
Right. Yes, your English sounds very good though.
I hope to speak more fluent. Yes, to improve my English. That's the main problem for me. Right. I haven't found the native speakers to practice with. That's what, and I learn English. I have learned English alone. That's what the problem.
Okay. Oh, well, this seems like, yeah, Cambly should help you. The more you talk, and if I find something that I realize that you're not pronouncing correctly or grammatically, then I can help you.
Now the last question in 1 minute. What do you say for what you say for the people who are seeking to travel to Toronto? Now, general advice now.
What do I say? I'd say just know exactly, I mean, we welcome everybody to Canada with open arms, and just know exactly what you're coming into and what you're looking for, and just know, just have a rough idea of like what the culture is like and where you want to live, and
don't be
just
stressed.
Exactly what you're
easy. Okay.
No, don't be threatened. Yeah, it's very easy. Don't be stressed. Everybody's super friendly, and I mean, if you need help, you can ask anybody on the side of the street and ask them your question,
Thank
and
you
they'll
so,
help
so
you.
much. You are
Like,
very,
we're
very,
very
friendly. And
friendly.
I'd say to send greetings from our group of Syrians. Okay, and see you next week. Thank you, friend.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Thanks.
Yes,
Goodbye,
thank
friend.
you.
Bye
You're
bye.
welcome. Nice meeting you. Goodbye. Bye. Have a good